It is time for the start of our FIFA 22 Newcastle United career mode. A club with so much history, but also modern day storylines made this team stand out above the rest for my first save of the year. There's definitely potential with this squad, but a clear change in direction is needed, and that's where I hope we can step in. To give some needed context for this series, I like to operate at a quick pace, covering half season per episode, with the ambition of having a new and exciting theme to look forward to in each video. This means that there will be a transfer window as well as a handful of matches that I've condensed into highlights so you can get a better idea of how the squad plays. Realism is also a huge aspect to me, so I think starting with these settings is a good base and we can adjust things as needed moving forward. There have been some new gameplay features added in FIFA 22. Player-based difficulty, from my understanding, will have players replicate their actual style in-game better. And for a change, I'll be disabling the first transfer window. I think that ties in pretty well with the realism. Negotiation strictness, keeping it on loose just to make sure that we can make transfers happen if we want to. But I'll make sure to do my research behind the scenes and also take your comments, suggestions on board for any potential signings. If this sounds exciting to you, leave a like on the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads. While the tactic of having a compact defense and absorbing pressure has been enough to keep Newcastle in the Premier League, we'll be looking to try out some different ideas in this save and utilizing a different formation. I think a 3-5-2 fits this squad and the players we have available really well. There's definitely no shortage of quality goalkeepers here at Newcastle. I've decided to have Duvraka in between the sticks. He's got the highest overall rating, but we have Darlow available as a substitute, and noticeably, Freddie Woodman has returned to the club from a loan spell at Swansea. I think it's only a matter of time before he becomes our future number one, but the main decision for us to make is whether we should keep him here at Newcastle or send him out on loan again. Newcastle's defense is an interesting subject. With this three at the back formation, I think we're lacking some pace, and Newcastle really hasn't signed a whole lot of center backs in recent years. I think the last player they brought in was actually Fernandez in 2018 or 2019. We'll need to rely a lot on our wingers to come back on defense and kind of give us a back five at times when we have oppositions closing us down. It's Ritchie and Murphy on the wings. Moving into the center midfield, Joe Willock, a permanent addition now from Arsenal. He spent the season on loan at Newcastle, and he must have performed well enough for Newcastle to pretty much have him be their only signing in the summer. Hayden is also a quality option as center defensive mid. Looks like he can play a variety of positions, and maybe we move him back to center back if that's not working out. Miguel Almiron, the former Atlanta United center attacking mid. As an American myself, it's always nice to see players from MLS making the move abroad and performing pretty well at Newcastle. Seems to work really hard on the pitch and also is a versatile player, can play in the center or out wide. Finally, we've got a dynamic striker partnership of Callum Wilson and Alan Saint-Maximin. It's rumored that some big clubs in the Premier League will be looking to sign him in upcoming transfer windows, but for now, he's still here at Newcastle. But Wilson's goal scoring record is pretty remarkable. He's made quite the impact since he transferred to the club about 2 seasons ago. Honestly, feel like he deserves a higher rating, but it is what it is. Now, we also have players available on the bench. For the sake of time, I'm not going to talk about every single one, but trust me, I'm going to be rotating the squad pretty heavily. We have a lot of matches to play in this first Premier League season, and hopefully from the highlights that I'm able to showcase in the gameplay, you'll kind of get an idea of how not only our first team players play in game, but also some of these younger and upcoming players, as well as the players that are in the reserves. If you were paying close attention, you might have noticed a player in our reserves that you might not have recognized. That is one of our youth academy players with the most potential. Noah James, the Canadian, is the player that we found. 59 overall isn't great, but a potential of 70 to 94. He will hopefully be one of the several Newcastle players that rise to the ranks of our youth academy, eventually start getting some minutes for the first team, and maybe break into the squad. We've also got Elliot Anderson, the Scottish center attacking mid. Had great potential in FIFA 21. I'm guessing that's the same this year. Santiago Munoz is going to be one of the storylines that we try to create in this Newcastle career mode. If you ever watched the movie series Goal, basically it's about a player named Santiago Munoz that made the transfer from America to England and played at Newcastle for his first club. I won't spoil too much from the movie, but purely from an in-game basis, he actually looks to have a lot of potential. 18 years old, already at an evaluation of 2.2 million. We've also got a couple of players sent out on loan in the first season. Matthew Longstaff is one of the two Longstaff brothers here in the Newcastle senior squad. I think it's probably good that he's in Scotland at Aberdeen for a year so that he can grow in his overall. He's going to struggle to get minutes in our squad. We were also given a 4-star, 5-star scout to begin this save, so we will be establishing a network in England for 3 months, just looking for any type of player. Still need to get more hours into FIFA 22 to figure out which types of youth academy scouting is the most effective. In previous years, I feel like technically gifted and physically strong players were the best. Speaking of our youth academy, we've got some board objectives to cover. No changes compared to last FIFA. So for youth development, we're looking to assign 4 players to our youth academy. For brand exposure, it is a high objective of getting a streak of 10 games with at least 1 goal scored. And really interesting as we look to replace 3 players from the team. I'm curious to see how that works out since we've disabled the first transfer window. And I'm also going to try to reflect a realistic transfer policy. So not exactly spending a lot of funds. Instead, I think a lot of the transfers will come via funds that we've acquired from player departures. Financially, we need to sign 2 crucial players to the first team and make a profit of 86 million. Also a long-term objective for us to consider. I think we can hit that mark because we already have 31.2 million to work with. Domestically, the board wants us to finish mid-table and reach the round of 16 in the FA Cup. Of course, season 1, we don't have Europe to consider for continental success. Since we've got the squad more or less figured out, all we need to do now is prepare for our first match of the season. Player training, of course, being a big part of that, because you need to have good player sharpness if you want your players to actually perform well in game. From the numerous hours I put in FIFA 21, I think this is the best loadout. This gives you 10 training spots. Essentially, you can put all your players in the first team minus the goalkeeper in training. Go ahead and play all 3 drills, and then you can just continue repeating these drills on simulation because you've already got the A grade. Development plans can make or break, you guessed it, a player's development. And there are 3 big ones that I want to talk about for this save. First off, I think it's best that Saint-Maximin works on a position change toward left wing. It'll also help improve his shooting statistics. So even if he doesn't end up being a winger and more of a striker as he is right now, it'll help us in the long run. Willick's stats certainly suit a center midfielder role more than center attacking mid, so he'll be doing a position change to there. And I've decided to weigh a couple of pros and cons for Matt Ritchie and putting him on this attacking wingback role. It does improve his skill moves to 5-star, which is not ideal, but it's going to help preserve his pace. So if he's going to actually be usable in this Newcastle save, we're just going to need to take a slight hit to realism. The rest of these changes are pretty straightforward. Wilson on a poacher development plan, Murphy going to a wide midfielder. Hayden will be on the defensive midfield plan, which was one of the best ones in FIFA 21. I'm guessing that's going to be the same in FIFA 22. Lewis on the attacking wingback role. Fernandez will act as a stopper, and then 2 of our younger players, Anderson on the shadow striker development plan. Same thing for our best youth academy prospect, Noah James. Really happy to see that real life fixtures are implemented into the game this year. We kick off the season with a match against West Ham United. Definitely not an easy opponent. This is where we will jump into the gameplay, so I'll give a little bit of post-commentary highlights. Just the 3 matches today because this is the first episode of a series. I'm also on a 10-hour trial basis, so once the full game comes out, I'll probably highlight more matches. Although this is only the first match of a long Premier League season, I think this fixture could heavily influence our team sheet moving forward. Simply put, if individuals don't perform, it's a next player up philosophy that we'll have here at Newcastle. And going off that, there's more players with an important or crucial squad role than we can even field. It's worth mentioning that this was my first match of FIFA 22, so over the course of the episode, you'll likely notice some changes in the gameplay as I get a better idea of how FIFA is going to play this year. But very unfortunate for us to concede the first goal from a set piece. It was a well-taken effort from Vlasic, one of West Ham's new signings from the summer, but they're going to continue that pressure here with Antonio playing in the middle. Again to Vlasic, has a shot deflected, falls to Souček, he plays into Bowen, and Souček, he's going to convert that in front of goal, finding the top net. One thing I can take away from just a few matches played is that you're going to see these type of finishes more and more often. Long shots are very good this year, and I'm glad they're back, especially after FIFA 21, where 90% of goals are scored inside the box. 2 minutes of added extra time as we try to see out this first half and not concede another, but the partnership of Declan Rice and Thomas Souček was just too much for us to handle, as Souček does get his brace. Well taken effort, probably the best goal scored in this match. But some of the blame has to go to Fernandez because the last 2 goals conceded, if he positioned himself better, he could have got a block in. Being down 3 goals, we need to experiment with some new tactics. So we'll go with a more attacking option on the right side. Left mid is Fraser's preferred position, but he can certainly play at right mid as well. And he's actually going to get a little bit of action here as Saint-Maximin shot is deflected, falls right back to Fraser, but Ariola does well to collect himself and recuperate for the save. This is just a mistake on my end. I thought I could have gotten to that one with Dubravka, but yeah, it's an easy goal for West Ham to score, making the score line look pretty ridiculous, 4-0. Kickoff goals, maybe they're back for FIFA 22. Still yet to be seen, but it's a bit of a run here from Saint-Maximin. Plays through Fraser and one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He's going to take that on his near post. Although it's a consolation goal, it's going to give us a little bit of confidence moving forward to the other gameplay fixtures in today's episode. And like I said, it's a long Premier League season. We can't let one loss affect our morale because there will be a lot of teams pushing for a mid-table finish. How about this for a start to the season? Only a few weeks later, we have to travel to Old Trafford and play against Manchester United. You can see from the simulations that we did manage to pick up both a win and a draw to go along with our opening day loss. And I would say that there is some sense of rivalry between Manchester United and Newcastle as two of the Premier League's most historic sides. And you already know, with the transfer of Cristiano Ronaldo to Manchester United in the summer, I had to highlight this match. In my opinion, dynamic tifos are one of the coolest new additions to FIFA 22. There's a look at Bruno Fernandes's one for United, but I'd like to hear in the comments section who you think will be one of our dynamic tifos for Newcastle. One takeaway from the fixture against West Ham United is that scoring the first goal is absolutely crucial. So in the opening minutes against United, you can see I'm very cautious with our build-up play, trying to switch things from side to side, wait for some channels to open up and the right passing opportunities. Finally, a chance does arise. It's Willock who's going to convert this effort in a fantastic way. Across goal, nothing Dean Henderson can do about that one. And Willock actually has instructions to get forward and act as the more box-to-box center defensive mid. So now for the rest of this fixture, we're going to try to limit the Manchester United attack. Not an easy task, especially when Cristiano Ronaldo is taking these sort of long shots. Great save from Dubravka, forgetting about the first match and trying to keep this clean sheet. It's Ronaldo again, finding Bruno Fernandes. He's going to go with a long shot effort. I would argue that was an even better save. As a final chance for United before the end of the first half, Jadon Sancho down the left wing. And again, on Dubravka's near post, he's going to deny that effort. Strong palm away, and that's 45 minutes down, 45 minutes left to go. While it may have looked like we were on the defensive for that first half, a couple of chances did come up, and this is an iconic run from Saint-Maximin. Similar to what he does for Newcastle IRL, he finds a way to get by opponents, and just some quick passing play will eventually get Almiron his chance to double our lead. Perfect look at the replay here. It's the pass to Wilson across to Almiron and a well-taken effort on his preferred left foot. That triangle seems to be working wonders for us here against United. Another good stop from Dubravka here as we look to get on a counterattack. Wilson nodding it down to Longstaff, out wide to Clark. He's got some supporting runs as players push forward. We're going to go with an over-the-top through ball, and that seems to be one of the ways to score as Wilson will convert that effort. Again, it's going to be cross goal. A very different result in this one compared to how Newcastle matched up against United in what was Ronaldo's first game for the club. Just 5 minutes left to play in this one. The result is more or less determined, but we're going to keep on playing that attacking play style. Show the rest of the Premier League that we mean business here at Newcastle. Even if our first result didn't go our way, this is a different match, and on our day, we can hang with the best of the Premier League. An outstanding showing from the traveling away fans as United need to walk off their home pitch in defeat. A detailed look at the statistics shows that United had the advantage for expected goals, but stats don't mean everything, and sometimes you can have some standout individual performances like we had. I have a feeling cup fixtures could be a big aspect of this save, especially with Newcastle's biggest rival, Sunderland, being in the lower divisions. That may not have happened yet in Season 1, but we did go on a bit of a run here in the second round, defeating Hull City 4-0. Third round saw a 2-1 win against Hartlepool. Fourth round saw a 2-1 win against Wolves. And now all of a sudden we're into the quarterfinals against Aston Villa. As this was one of the final fixtures in December, I'm going to treat this as the last match that we feature for the gameplay, and also use this as an opportunity to highlight some of our younger up-and-coming players. You can see we've got Anderson at the center attacking mid position, Santiago Munoz at striker, and then the likes of Woodman and Longstaff, who have kind of played squad rotational roles up to this point, will get the nod for the starting 11. Villa, on the other hand, will be fielding more or less a full-strength first team. I'm interested to see how the goalkeeper comparison is going to be. Dubravka, our current number 1, and Woodman, our future number 1. It took but 2 minutes for us to create the first highlight. Almiron, first time we're seeing him out wide, but showing that his passing is always going to be on point. Anderson actually showing a bit of strength there to hold off the Aston Villa defender. Unfortunately, that didn't end up as a goal. Leon Bailey with the long shot effort going narrowly wide as we try to hit Villa on the counter. Munoz to Hayden, now through to Saint-Maximin. He has had his efforts saved from this sort of position before, but this time one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He will be converting that into a goal. So with 25 minutes played, it's Newcastle with the lead. 3 minutes later, It's Longstaff who gets into the box trying to play that one on the ground across to one of our strikers. Not exactly working out. Saint-Maximin again in front of goal. Well defended by Aston Villa, who have made some upgrades in the most recent transfer window. Entertaining gameplay, just about resulting in a goal. Saint-Maximin's effort going off the crossbar. Now it's Danny Ings deciding to take that from a long range. Not sure why, as he definitely could have gotten closer to goal and increased his chances of scoring. Finally, it's a great save from Woodman, denying that effort as we look to make some substitutions. Saint-Maximin being brought off for Jollington. And we're also going to highlight our top youth academy prospect today. It's Young to be brought in. Jollington will try to find James here as he gets a nice fake shot into the box, but narrowly called for offside. Only a couple of feet away from being played through on time there. Up until this point, it definitely seemed like we were the team in control. Even with 3 minutes left to play, we were pushing for a second as Jollington plays through Munoz. He gets that tackle in, but we do hang on to some possession here after a couple of deflections. Finally, it's Young to take the ball away, and Buendia trying to get Aston Villa on this counter. Despite Willock putting in a great challenge, I don't know how, but Villa seemed to have a burst of pace as Young again is played through to Watkins, to Bailey, and a long shot effort gets by Woodman. It's a cinematic celebration against us as Villa find the equalizer. We've seen this a lot of times in FIFA 21. I feel like there have been a couple of changes for the latest installment, but the match wasn't over yet as we're into the 4 minutes of added extra time, and ref was a bit favorable for us as despite the chances being taken away right around the edge of the area where he could have called for full time, he let play go on, and Jollington will hit Villa with our own cinematic celebration, except we can say with full certainty this will be the celebration to secure a victory. Exactly how we wanted to close out the gameplay as we're through to the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Let's see how we've managed to do in the Premier League. But as we check in January 2022, you might have noticed because we were starting to string together some good results and making it to the later stages of the EFL Cup, we find ourselves 5th place in the Premier League. Granted, there's a lot of teams around us in the table, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself and say that we're going to be qualifying for Europa League in Season 1. But I've got to hand it to the Newcastle squad behind the scenes. They picked up a lot of good results on simulations, probably too many if I'm being honest. Some surprises in the table though. Manchester City in 8th, United in 9th, and Spurs in 11th. It's especially interesting because Cristiano Ronaldo is top of the Premier League in goals scored, also has the 3rd most assists, so maybe he doesn't have the supporting cast around him at United. But getting into our top goal scorers, it's Miguel Almiron and Alain Saint-Maximin that are the standout players in this Newcastle squad. Technically, Almiron is the top player for both goals and assists, but they're practically even on numbers. So if it's possible and we manage to retain them at the club, these are the 2 players that I definitely want to build around. Considering where we're at in the table, we need to make a push in January and try to sign some players to improve this squad further. This is what the team is currently looking like. We've seen some upgrades to player ratings, and there are still a few players left on development plans. Willock's about halfway to reaching that center mid mark, and when the time's right, we can either convert Saint-Maximin to left wing or just keep him on this plan to improve his shooting stats. I've went ahead and picked out 2 players that I think could improve this Newcastle squad. If you have any transfer suggestions of your own, feel free to leave that in the comment section. But to start with, I've singled out Samuel Umtiti as a potential signing at center back. Of course, in the highlights, I talked about how Fernandes didn't perform well in that season opener against West Ham. Umtiti can essentially take over his role at left center back. He's left-footed, and considering Barcelona are transferring out a lot of their players, and Umtiti isn't exactly getting a lot of play time for them, this is a transfer that could make sense. I also think we need to sign a versatile and prolific player to either play at striker or out wide, because I see one of our forwards eventually leaving in a future transfer window. I'm not against letting players leave, especially when it makes sense and big clubs submit transfer offers for them. So a transfer of Mbolo could make sense as we try to plan for the future. He's coming off a decent Euros campaign for Switzerland. Let me know your thoughts on all things transfers, but I really hope you have enjoyed this first episode of our FIFA 22 Newcastle United career mode. Should have another episode out for y'all this weekend. It would help me out a lot if you could leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, but until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to y'all again soon.